Hey all, Matt Stockton here. I wanted to give you a demo of a tool that I built yesterday that I'm pretty excited about. It's a tool that helps my wife and I manage our personal finances, and it replaces a process that we do yearly that is really time consuming and is spreadsheet based and manual. So this year my wife said, "Hey, do you think you can try to build something using the tools that you've been playing around with?" So I said, "Let's give it a shot." And so that's what I want to do today is give you a demo of the tool, show you how it works, and then walk through how I built it. And then I'll also try to make a modification to it to just show you my full workflow for using some of these tools. So let's dive in. Okay, let's dive into a demo. So I'm gonna run this app locally on my machine, and what it allows you to do is upload a screenshot or a CSV of your portfolio, and it runs some analysis. So let me go ahead and choose a sample portfolio image. This is the image I'm going to choose. It has a couple different mutual funds held in an IRA. I can go ahead and select it. And now the application in the background is going to send that image to the OpenAI API, the Vision API, and structure that information. So pull out some structured data, the fund you hold, the amount you hold, the cost basis. And then it's going to use a couple other APIs to gather more information about those funds. So to try to get like the Morningstar ratings, the expense ratios, all that information, the style that you'd care about. And when it comes back, it gives you this nice portfolio snapshot, tells you your current value, your cost basis, your fees. And then this is the section that we really like to look at. This is the thing that kind of replaces the bulk of that spreadsheet workflow. It shows you, the rating, the expense ratio. We have a target allocation for each kind of style. So it also tells you like where you're at in terms of your target percentage and how much you're off by. And it also does things like chooses a benchmark for the style and category, shows you the benchmark's returns over 1, 3, and 5 years, and also creates this performance versus benchmark score, which is like a weighted average of how your fund did to the benchmark over those 1, 3, and 5 year periods. So lots of great information, and this is the type of thing we were using that spreadsheet before, and we'd have to manually gather all the data. So some other things that you can do, there's a category breakdown, so you can kind of come in here and look at the different categories, see the amount that you hold in that category, the percentage of your overall portfolio, and again, versus the target percentage that you have, which is something you can set in the application. This is another way to look at your current allocation versus the target allocation. And these are things that we like to visualize in our spreadsheet that I wanted to recreate. So you can look at size versus style and see what your percentage of your portfolio is and how much it differs from your target here. So if it's going to be red if it's far off, it's going to be green if it's close. So just a couple different ways to visualize your portfolio. You can come in and you can add more portfolios. So if you're pulling from a couple different brokerages, you can add those in. So I'm going to upload this CSV here, which has a couple other holdings, hypothetical holdings, and it's going to go through the same process that I just described and add that information to this dashboard. So it's not going to replace what's there. It's just going to augment it and add the new holdings in that CSV. One other thing that I wanted to show you that I think is really cool is there's some performance metrics. So it shows your annualized return, your volatility, your Sharpe ratio, and compares it to the benchmark. And then this part is really cool. So generally when we look at our finances yearly, we want to figure out, are there funds that we want to swap out? Are there funds with lower expenses that are doing better? And so I built a prompt that takes the portfolio and sends it to OpenAI with a bunch of detailed questions, and it returns a 1 to 2 page narrative about your portfolio. So I'm going to click that button, and this is in the background going to package up some information about your portfolio that you've uploaded, and it's going to send it to OpenAI. And what you get back is pretty cool. It gives you some pretty detailed information about how you can think about changes to your portfolio. So just give this a couple seconds here, and here it is. So portfolio analysis and tax efficiency recommendations. The prompt itself really highlights the need to look into tax advantaged accounts and what assets should be where. And so it gives some good information about how you might think about placing assets in different locations. And these are all things we tried to look at before, right? But it takes a lot of time. And it was really nice to use a tool like OpenAI to give you a good starting spot. Like I would definitely vet this information, but it gives you a really nice starting spot. And that's the overall demo. And now I wanted to go into how I built it. And it's pretty cool because I actually didn't do hardly any coding to build this out. So let me show that to you. Okay, let's dig into how this was built. So let me first show you a little bit of the code. Maybe some code we can look at is the prompts that I'm sending to OpenAI to do some of the workflows. So one of the prompts is to help classify each fund's style and size and whether it's international, fixed income, or real estate. So here you can see this is a prompt that's going to get sent to the OpenAI API. And this is the code for it. There's some other, different Python files here. It's a Streamlit application. But like I said before, like I basically wrote very little of this code, and I'm using a tool called Repo Prompt with O1 Pro to generate the code. Now, Repo Prompt, it's similar to some of the other coding tools like Cursor, except it's more of a batch processing thing, and it allows you to use O1 Pro, which currently Cursor doesn't, or O1 Pro doesn't have an API, so Cursor can't integrate with it. Cursor is very cool, but Repo Prompt is really cool if you're trying to use O1 Pro. So this is the code, right? And again, I didn't write hardly any of this. And so what I want to do now is I want to show you the workflow for using Repo Prompt and try to make a live modification to this application. So basically, what I'm going to try to do is I will try to add another button here that generates some information about potential fund replacements. Like I think one thing that we look at every year is, hey, are there any funds that have kind of are doing kind of poorly, that are high expenses that we should consider swapping out? So I'm going to try to build that functionality using just my voice and Repo Prompt and O1 Pro. So let's give it a shot. I'm going to poke open Repo Prompt. And basically you can use Repo Prompt to build a prompt and attach your code base and send it to O1 Pro. And it gives you back a structure that you can basically apply as a diff to your code. Really interesting stuff. So let's try it out. I'm going to say, I want to add some functionality to this app. I want to add a button next to the generate analysis button that does the following. It should package up the current portfolio, and it should build a prompt that asks the OpenAI API to analyze the funds and consider if there's any funds that are worth swapping out. Funds that are worth swapping out are ones with higher expense ratios or potentially lower Morningstar ratings. And I want the prompt to specifically look for low fee, high rating funds. And I typically like the Vanguard or Fidelity family. So make a prompt that is very specific and tries to get fund replacements. And then the prompt should basically also ask for a narrative, maybe a bulleted list of the top 5 suggestions of funds we should consider swapping out. Okay, so I just recorded myself saying that. That was a lot. It was pretty verbose, but let's try it out. So basically what you can do here is, I pasted this in the wrong spot. So it's in the compose. You come in, you put it in the compose. You choose the files you want to send along with the prompt, right? It's helpful to send pretty much everything you need. And then you send a file tree, and then you can attach some more instructions. So basically what this does is it packages up a prompt that you can then send to O1 Pro. So I'm going to send that to O1 Pro. And this takes a bit of time. O1 Pro is a reasoning model, and it's going to go down a bunch of different paths to try to solve this problem. And so it's going to take a bit of time. So I will come back when this is done. Okay, I'm back. I actually had to go run an errand, so my hair might look a little bit different now that I'm back at my desk. But O1 Pro has completed that prompt, and what it gives you back when you use Repo Prompt is an XML formatted document that you can copy out of O1 Pro. And if you come back to Repo Prompt, you can come to the Apply tab and to the XML input. If you paste that in and click Merge Changes, it's going to give you the intended changes it's going to make to the code base. And remember, O1 Pro built all of this whole response. What I generally do is do a quick review to see what it does. Let's look at this, the OpenAI API Python file. So this is the prompt that it's built to do that new functionality that we described via voice that got transcribed to text that got sent to O1 Pro via repo prompt. But this looks pretty good. It looks like it's much more clear than what I described. And let's see how it works. So I usually say accept all files, which is going to apply the code changes to your local files. And then let's come back to run the application and see what happens. All right, so let's load back up our portfolio. I'm going to choose the same portfolio I had before, and it's going to process that similarly to what we saw before, making some calls to OpenAI. I'm going to add that other portfolio here, which again was the screenshot one. Let's do that. Give it a couple seconds here to process. And okay, there's the button. So as soon as this process is processed, we'll be able to click that button and see what happens. All right, so let's go ahead and click Generate Swap Suggestions. And so generating fund replacement suggestions, again, it's going to take that prompt that we saw in the code and it's going to send that to OpenAI, and hopefully we'll get some good results. Let's give it a couple seconds here. All right, based on the provided portfolio, the goal is to identify funds that may not be optimal due to higher expense ratios or lower Morningstar ratings. So this is what we asked it to do. Funds to consider for replacement. So it lists out some funds and it gives some reasons why you might consider replacing that. It looks pretty good. It looks interesting. Top 5 suggestions for swaps. Okay, so it gives you some actual suggestions. Replace this one with this or that because of lower expenses. Replace. So it kind of found some other ones with lower expense ratios. So I wouldn't go just like make these trades, but it's really interesting that, you know, basically in very limited time, I've built some starting point for me to start evaluating these funds and try to rebalance my portfolio for the year. So I was really happy with the progress I was able to make to build this tool in a day. And it's really cool what you can build now. So I definitely suggest people try these tools out if they're interested. If you could get value out of a tool like this, they'll probably deploy it so people can use it. But yeah, let me know what you think and how you found this demo.